Hi scholars, we are back again. A new school week, a virtual school week. We are starting with lesson 6 in our application problem. Go ahead and take a few moments to read the application problem. And make sure that you underline very important parts of the problem. So as I read to myself, I'll be underlining important things. Alright, so it says Chloe's dad partitions his garden into 4 equal size sections to plant tomatoes, squash, peppers, and cucumbers. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. I want to draw a rectangle. That has how many parts? 4 equal size parts. Okay. To plant tomatoes, I'll put a T, squash, peppers, and cucumbers. Okay, so you have your 4 equal size sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it says what fraction of the garden is available for growing tomatoes. So here's our tomato section here. Is asking what fraction of the garden is available for growing these tomatoes. How many sections do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so all of these are fourths. If they're just asking for the tomato section is how many fourths? That's right, 1/4. Okay, each of these is 1/4. Okay, so your written response would start like the fraction, because we want to restate our question, of the garden available for growing what? Tomatoes. Good job. Is 1/4, or you can write 1/4. Okay. Now there's a second part here at the bottom. It says Chloe talked her dad into planting beans and lettuce too. He used equal size sections for all the vegetables. What fraction do the tomatoes have now? So at first we had tomatoes, squash, peppers, and cucumbers. And now they're adding beans and lettuce too. So how many total plants do we have? If we have 2 here and 4 here, how many total plants do we have? That's 2 plus 4, which equals 6. So now we know that the new sections need to be equal sizes of 6. So I'm going to draw a new rectangle. It's a little bit crooked. Okay. But I need to partition it into 6 equal sizes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now I have my tomatoes, my squash, my peppers, my cucumbers, my beans, and then my lettuce. So I have enough equal spaces for all of my vegetables or all of my plants. Next, I need to figure out what the fraction is. What are each of these fractions going to be? What number am I going to put at the bottom? That's right, I'm going to put a 6 because there are 6 equal sections to grow my plants or to plant the plants. What number am I going to put on top for each section? If I just want to know the fraction that the tomatoes have, what is this? How many 6 is this? How many 6 is this? 1 6. 1 6. 1 6. 1 6. 1 6. 1 6. So, to answer your question, go ahead and write your sentence. Pause the video and I'm going to write mine. The fraction the tomatoes have now are 1/6, or you can write your fraction in numerical form in parentheses. Okay. Going to our problem set. So today's objective for our lesson is to build non-unit fractions. So fractions where we do not know the unit yet. We're given a unit and we are building them to be less than 1 whole. So we're building fractions, but they won't be more than 1 whole. Okay. At this time, before we start our problem set, you have a sprint. You have a side A and side B sprint. Sorry, let me get that for you. Show you what it looks like. Here, the lesson 6 sprint. You have a side A. You're doing multiples of 7. Okay. And then you also have a side B. Side B here, where you have 7s. Remember that you have 2 minutes to complete each side. 2 minutes to complete each side. Okay, so make sure that you complete your sprint before you go to your application problems. I'm sorry, before you go to your problem set. So now, let's start working on our problem set. Take 1 minute or take a couple of seconds to read your directions, underline important words. So after reading the instructions, I know that I'm completing the number sentence, which is here. These are the number sentences because they have an equal sign. And then partition each strip equally. So whatever we're giving here, we're going to show it here on our bar. We're going to write the unit fraction inside, okay, in numerical form. And then we're going to shade the answer, shade the fraction, okay. So let's look at the example that is done for us. It says 2/3 equal, and they want you to write it in unit form, okay, 2/3. And then they had to partition these 2/3, or partition this rectangle into thirds. Okay, you have 1, 2, 3, each is 1/3. And then we need to shade the 2/3 that's here given to us. So they went back and shaded 2 of those thirds. Let's practice on our own. So A, it says 3/4, and so in unit form, it's going to be 3/4. Okay. You also can write it with a slanted bar here. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now we need to make sure we partition these equally. Remember, if we need 4 sections, how many lines are we going to draw? That's right, 3 lines. So 1, 2, 3, and now I have my 4 sections. Remember, you want them to be as accurate as possible, so make sure that you complete yours with a pencil, okay, in case you need to erase. You really have to work on making precise and accurate lines when you're talking about fractions, okay? We want them to be equal. Next, it says write the unit fraction inside each unit. So if I have 4 sections, I know that they're going to be fourths. So I have 1/4, that's 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Okay. Next, it says shade your answer. So let me get a pencil to shade. How many am I going to shade? 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. You shaded 3/4. Let's move on to part B. 3/7. So how many sections do I need? 7. What does that look like in unit form? I'm going to have a 3 at the top. And what at the bottom? A 7. Good. Remember, you can write it anyway. Next, if we need 7 sections, how many lines am I going to draw? 7. Good job. Ms. Brittany is going to use her pencil because 7 is a lot. And I want to make sure they're accurate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have my 7 sections. I think my lines look pretty good. I'm going to go back over them with a pen. Okay. And next, we're going to write the unit fraction inside. So that's going to be 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7, 1/7. Do you all see how we're building our non-unit fractions? At first, we just had a blank bar, and then we're building our fractions. Okay, so we took this whole and made it into 7. So we took this whole and made it into 4ths. Took this whole and made it into 3rds. Okay, so remember, the more sections you make, the smaller the fraction is. Okay, so next we have 3/7. So how many sections do I need to shade? Go ahead and do your work. Pause the video. When you are done, you can come back and compare your answer to mine. All right, I have shaded my sections here. I have 3/7. Okay. Next, 4/5. I want you to independently complete numbers, letters C and D. And when you are done, you can come back to the video and you can compare your work to mine. Go ahead and pause the video now. So for C, I have 5ths. 1, 2, 3. My lines are not even, so we'll go back and redo those. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. That means I have 5 sections. My sections are not quite even. This one is larger than the rest of them, so I'm going to go back and redraw my lines. I know it can be frustrating sometimes, but the more you practice, the easier it will be. you'll start to get a feel for how big certain sections should be. Are my sections even? I think they're pretty even. Okay. Alright, so here are my sections. I have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to label each of them 1/5. And I know 4/5 looks like 4/5. Okay. Next, I'm going to shade 4 of them to show 4/5. Okay. Moving on to D, 2/6. Start with my pen. Well, start with my pen first. It'll be 2/6. This one's uneven. I need to go back and partition equally. It is okay if you have to start over. Just make sure you use a pencil. Do my sections look even? I believe these two can be adjusted. Okay, I think those look pretty even. Okay. Next, we are going to label each section is 1/6. Okay. And I'm going to shade 2 of them to represent 2/6. Okay, so this is what your part 1 should look like. Okay, we took the word form and converted it to unit form or numerical form, and then we represented it with a picture here on the right. Okay, so we built units that are less than a whole. All of these are less than 1 whole because none of them have all sections filled in. Okay. Next, number 2. It says Mr. Stevens bought 8 liters of soda for a party. His guests drank 1 liter. So I'm going to pause the video. I want you to go ahead and draw your representation. It could be a rectangle just like this here to show 8 liters of soda for a party. Okay, 8 liters of soda. Go ahead and begin. All right, so I have my rectangle here that has my 8 sections because there are 8 liters of soda. Okay, and it says his guess. I'm going to go ahead and label the insides as well as 1/8. You can also read this as 1 out of 8. Okay. So it says his guest drank 1 liter. So let's shade the 1 liter that his guest drank. And it says, what fraction of the soda did his guest drink? Okay, let's write a complete sentence. We already represented it here, but we want to put it in word form as well to make sure that we're confident in our answer and we can prove our answer. So, his guest drank 1/8 of the soda. Okay, just one simple sentence. His guest drank 1/8 of the soda. Next, for part B, it says, what fraction of the soda was left? So let's count how many eighths we have left here that are not shaded. This is what his guest drank. So we're not going to count this. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. There are how many eighths left? 7/8 of the soda left. Okay. All right. Moving on to our last page before our exit ticket. Here we are. So the directions for part 3 says fill in the chart. So you have, let's look at the different sections we have here. We have a picture here on the left corner, labeled A through E. You have the total number of equal parts, the total number of shaded equal parts. So how many parts there are total, how many are shaded, the unit fraction, so showing here how many are not shaded, and the fraction shaded. Okay, so unit fraction is the part that is not shaded. Okay, I want you to go ahead and take a moment to look over the sample. Tell me what you realize or what you noticed. Okay, so here we have a circle partitioned into 4 equal parts. The total number of parts is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The total number of shaded equal parts is 3. We have 1, 2, 3 here. The unit fraction, for unit fraction, I actually want you to write out what one of these will be. So one of these parts would be 1/4. Okay, so write out what one of these would be. And lastly, for a fraction shaded, you're looking at how many are shaded in. Let's do part A together, or letter A together. So how many equal parts are there? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 equal parts. What's the total number of shaded parts? Shaded equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. What's the unit fraction? So one of these would be what? How would that fraction look? It would be good. 1/9. In our fraction shaded, how many parts are shaded? 5. So that fraction would look like 5/9. Okay. Let's do part B. How many equal parts are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, just to make sure. Next, the total number of shaded equal parts. 1, 2, 3. The unit fraction is going to be 1 over 7 because we have 7 total parts. And then the fraction shaded, we have 3 of them, so it's going to be 3/7 or 3 over 7. I want you to complete C through E independently. And while you are working, I am going to work. When I come back on, if you're not done, you just go ahead and pause the video until you are finished. And then we will get prepared for our exit ticket. Alright, at this time, if you are not done, go ahead and pause the video. For those that are done, let's go ahead and review our answers. So for C, there are 5 equal parts. There are 4 parts shaded. Unit fraction with one of these equal parts will be 1 over 5. But what we are shown here is 4 over 5, the amount that's shaded in. Okay, if you're done with that, give yourself 2 snaps. If you got that correctly or correct. D, there are 6 parts. There are 2 parts that are shaded. Unit form, one of these sections will be 1 over 6. Because 2 are shaded, the fraction shaded is 2/6 or 2 over 6. If you got that one correct, give yourself 2 claps. Lastly, E, a little bit tricky, not really. All parts are shaded, and there are 8 parts. Okay, one of these sections would be 1 over 8 or 1/8, and the amount shaded is 8 over 8. And if all parts are shaded, that equals 1 whole that is shaded. So that's why I put 8 over 8 equals 1, because if the number at the bottom matches the number at the top, that's 1 whole. Okay, so if you have reached a point where you feel that you understand everything, it's time for you to move on to your exit ticket. If you are confused about something, it is time for you to go back and rewind. Okay, and it's okay if you have to rewatch this video. We want to make sure that you understand fractions when you come back in the fall. So it's okay if you need to go back and rewind. But if you are prepared, let's review our exit ticket, and then I will end the video so you can work on it independently. So here's our exit ticket. Okay, it says complete the number sentence, estimate to partition the strip equally, write the unit fraction inside each unit, and shade the answer. So this is the same thing that we did here. Okay, you're just writing it out in unit form and showing it here on the bar. Here, what fraction of the circle is shaded, what fraction of the circle is not shaded, and then you're going to complete the chart, which is what we just did in the last section. Okay, take your time, good luck, and I know that you will do well. See you next time.